Disney princess Rachel Zegler is getting dragged by producer's son from Disney. He's calling her out and he is taking no prisoners. We have Garcelle, who quit Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Well, apparently not. Her contract wasn't renewed, and we're going to get into it today. And Joe Rogan is slamming Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Get ready. Let's dive in. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thursday. Let's get it. How many times do you think Zack wanted to crack up laughing every time the lawyer said with teeth? Oh my God. Every single time Daniel Feruzin said with teeth, I was dying. That was yesterday's episode with Daniel Feruzin, and he was talking about how California Civil Code 47.1 had teeth, aggressive teeth. And everybody, I was looking at the live chat, and everyone was like, Blake says she does it with no teeth. Blake, no teeth Lively. Where was that? Where's the meme? I'm going to pull it up for you guys. With Blake Lively. I was a little nervous about it at first because I was like, ooh, how are people gonna feel about this? And thankfully, you guys thought it was funny. Where is it? I posted it on Instagram. Somebody in the comments yesterday was like, you should have your media set up before you go on your show. It's so annoying watching you trying to pull up your media. I'm like, listen, lady, this is a live show. And sometimes I reference media I wasn't planning on referencing. Okay? So get back in the coconut tree and chill. Here, I have it here. Blake No Teeth Lively. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? I know. It was kind of ruthless. It was ruthless and toothless, but I just thought it was funny. It was funny. And then if you're a Housewives fan, I also put in the...
I have to say it out loud in my head. Toothless, not homeless. It's toothless, not homeless. Let me think about this 1 second. I have to say it out loud in my head. Toothless, not homeless. It's toothless, not homeless.
That was funny. Sorry, I just had to share because I just thought it was hilarious. Toothless, not homeless, even though it's homeless, not toothless. And then I actually went to the homeless, not toothless doctor, not because I was toothless, but because I was getting my teeth straightened with Invisalign, and I was considering doing veneers or Invisalign, and I went to go see him, and I did not like him because he's also like an actual dentist outside of the charity, and I was like, oh well, it kind of makes sense because like I was very I was featured that season a lot in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and it was the homeless, not toothless. So I was like, oh, you're on the show, I'm on the show. Like, why don't we do something together? And maybe we can like do some sort of charity component. Maybe we do a charity live stream or something. I did not get good vibes from him. I didn't enjoy. I mean, I'm sure some people like him. Dorit's teeth look great. PK's teeth look great. But yeah, no. He was long-winded but informative. He was a little long-winded. He was a little Dorit-y, but definitely go follow Daniel Feruzin. He at least because thirst traps. Okay, Joe Rogan is blasting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and I just kind of found this to be quite funny. I found it funny. He said that they effed up when he was on his podcast because it came up about the whole "It Ends With Us" drama and the legal saga, and I feel like more and more people are starting to come to the point where they're realizing like Blake Lively very clearly is not telling the truth. I think when I was talking it through yesterday with Daniel Feruzin, it kind of became abundantly clear because I was like, what smoking gun could she possibly have? She's trying to argue 47.1, and like, sure, that's a strong argument, but again, it goes down to a matter of fact that will have to be determined by the jury, not a judge. Very same sentiment that was echoed by Harvey Levin when he was on TMZ, and he's like, these are matters of these are questions of fact, and questions of fact are for the jury, not for the coconut tree, not for the judge. So there we go. But Joe Rogan, I love that Rogan's like, I guess he also was very involved or very closely following the Depp v. Heard. I didn't really listen to Rogan. Then I honestly don't listen to his show that often, to be honest with you. But yeah, he was talking about how they effed up and Ryan's just trying to get out of it now. and how, they were a key part of this. And now they're just like, oh, wait, no, now that we don't want to be held accountable for the things that we said. Like, sorry, we said him and we called him a predator and we called him all these things. And that's not exactly what we're feeling. We changed our mind. We want to hold him to the standard, and we want to call him names, and we want to sue him, but and we want to take over his movie and try to bully him into releasing statements, but don't bring that on us. We don't want to do that. Like, what are you talking about? We're totally innocent. We're totally kosher. And now you have everybody. Shout out to RHOBH on TikTok and X and Instagram. Elsie RHOBH, she's all over it right now. I guess they found that Ryan Reynolds at a Marvel panel, I guess he mentioned something about, because there's all the drama about they had their daughter Inez, who was 7 years old, and they had her say this line in the Deadpool skit where they had Nice Pool when Deadpool was like in that alternate universe or whatever, and so they had all these Nice Pool and Kid Pool and all these other pools, right? Well, it's summer and everybody's in the pool. Well, there was the line where they had the daughter make the remark. Now they had a little girl make the remark, because obviously the little girl was in a mask, and we didn't realize until a resurfaced interview with Ryan Reynolds that little girl was Ryan and Blake's daughter Inez, who was 7 at the time, and she references Wolverine's eggplant in Deadpool's mouth. So, and she literally says that when you get Wolverine's eggplant out, she doesn't say eggplant, she uses the real word. And she says that, and they joke about how they had to retake that line over and over and over, and how they had to, repeatedly take many cuts. And Inez at first was uncomfortable and didn't want to say it. And then Ryan Reynolds was like, well, if you don't say it, then I'll have to give the part to somebody else. And then she was like, no, I'll do it. So there you go. It's just hilarious to make your daughter repeat a fellatio joke time and time again. So, well, so my point is, RHOBH then found this panel, and oh my God, everybody, how do I turn on? Does anybody, I'm sorry, I'm technologically illiterate sometimes, and everybody decides they want to text me the same time I go live. Does anybody know how to change the settings so I can stop? I'll have to Google this afterwards, because I feel like every time I go live, my text, ding, 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 ding. Let me respond to this. LOL, you love to blow up my phone when I'm live on the internet. All right. Sorry. So yeah, there was, I guess on the panel, he talks about how he made another joke about how Deadpool is going to traumatize his children. And I'm just like, dude, how are you making all these jokes? And then you and your wife are so sensitive when it comes to Justin Baldoni, right? Like, all of it is just preposterous. It's ridiculous. Dingling, can't you put it on vibrate? I don't know how to put it on. I can't put my computer on vibrate. It's not coming. My phone's on vibrate, but the computer's not on vibrate. And I don't. Can you put your computer on vibrate? Is that what the ladies are doing these days? They gave up the washing machine, and now they're putting their laptops on vibrate every time their phone rings. Ring a ding ding. Where's the router? Danny, I don't know where the router is. The router is gone. Oh, but you know what's funny, Danny? I did learn that I can turn the router on and off from my phone. Apparently, I have an app that controls the router. The router is somewhere lost in the apartment. If you know, you know. If you've been a member of the Zack Pack for a minute, you know. Zack, if you have an iPhone, set it to Do Not Disturb. I am on Do Not Disturb on my iPhone. Oh, but on the computer, it's different. I don't know. I thought it was your phone. Apologies. No, it's the laptop. If you have a Mac, you can also set it. I don't know how to set my Mac on Do Not Disturb. Can somebody call Ronald McDonald to help me fix the Big Mac? Their excuse will always be, but it was a joke. The joke was inappropriate and not funny. Well, here's the thing. I'm fine if you do the joke thing, right? I'm fine if you're like, oh, well, it was just a joke and whatever. And we, whatever. I'm fine with that. But my issue is but then you're literally trying to ruin a man's life for doing things that are not even nearly as remotely close to the shit that you guys have done for years. Blake Lively talking about the boob cake and all these things, all the things that we've seen resurface in their interviews are ridiculous when you put them in the context of what they're trying to accuse Justin Baldoni of doing, especially now knowing that they've taken the things that they've accused him of doing and they've manipulated the context. Remember, again, the text messages, the cherry pick text messages, the removing of the emoji, the birthing still with Jamie Heath and his wife. Like all of these things are just redonkulous. Redonkulous. Oh, Cheryl. Oh, yeah. Let me clarify this. But really quickly, yeah, that was just the Rogan thing. He's trolling them and blasting them, and I found it hilarious. So thank you, Joe Rogan, for having a brain and for calling it exactly how it is. Cheryl said, anyway, anyone know why Zack changed the title of yesterday's video about Blake Lively cheating? So sorry, and I meant to say that at the top of yesterday's show, that the word cheating wasn't meant to be in her relationship. I wasn't saying that she was cheating on Ryan Reynolds. She was cheating on her, how she was getting her payments, right? Because it's very common that people use an LLC and they funnel the money through the LLC. I mean, it's kind of just a tax loophole. You get the tax benefits. That was what was in reference to the cheating. But obviously, when the show is taped live, the conversations go in different directions, and we didn't really end up covering the Blakel of it all. Blakel Inc. is her company, and that's who. Because then we were saying, well, she was an independent contractor, and she was, then being paid under her incorporation, not being paid through Wayfair, but yet she was trying to claim that she was an employee and she was being harassed, and so we got into all of that, or we got into it a bit. We got into that with Daniel Feruzin when he was on the show yesterday, the attorney out here in California, the trial attorney, and he specializes in harassment cases in the workplace. So I thought it was a great opportunity to get him to come on and explain that further. But sorry, to clarify, and that's why the title was changed, because I realized it was a little confusing or misleading, especially since that didn't end up being the bulk of the conversation. Because again, in a live interview, sometimes the notes change and the topic flows in a different direction. So that's why it was changed. Your eyebrows always look on fleek. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm sticking with the fact that they should be charged criminally. I don't think they will be, to be honest. I think I'm just waiting for them to settle. So what I think is going to happen is they're waiting for the motion to dismiss. They're waiting for the judge to rule on that. Obviously, he denied Leslie Sloan's motion to stay discovery. And so he said, nope, discovery is moving forward, but we still have the New York Times, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds, all of which have filed their motions to dismiss. The judge has to review that. It's very unlikely that they will be dismissed. If anything, I've always said the New York Times has the strongest case with, a dismissal, because they have a ton of privileges that protect them with freedom of the press. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. Yes, and it covers you for liability. Blake and Ryan are done, but the damage wasn't only against Justin, but all real victims. That's the thing. The arrogance and the narcissism and all the things. Like, it's just. Oof. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you, Cheryl. Irma says Daniel was hot. He is hot. He is so hot. I wanted him to be GAY, but he wasn't. I actually met him because my production guy, Marco, he knows like so many people in the industry, and he would have like these parties, and so we would not like Diddy parties. Like, let's be very clear, Marco doesn't have Diddy parties, but he has like very wholesome fun parties with like food trucks and a Santa coming over for Christmas and a gift exchange, and very wholesome parties. But Feruzin and I would always we were trouble at those parties. We were always hitting, I think it was whiskey. He would always bring some expensive bottle of something, and we would always fuck it up. So Frozen's a good time. Okay. Just started watching the show and I love it. Thank you, guys. If you're watching this right now, definitely be sure to hit the like button, subscribe. We're so close to 90K. What are we at? 89.2? 89.2. Come on. Let's get to 90K. The goal is to get to 100K for real estate. 100K for real estate. So that was an Onijah Robinson reference. If you guys were here for the Onijah Robinson Queen of Pakistan era. There we go. Okay. Let's talk about Rachel Zegler. Whoo-wee. Snow White in hot water under fire. So obviously Snow White has been a disaster and a bomb. And I went on Instagram yesterday and I was ranting about, and actually I'm going to get on my soapbox for one quick second before we get into the Rachel Zegler of it all. But in reference to Snow White, I'm upset about how they're trying to erase little people. Because I was thinking about it, because I was like, okay, politics aside, because obviously like the two lead actresses are beefing over like Palestine and Israel, and they have very different takes on that. And then Rachel Zegler was like, I hope people that voted for Trump never know peace. And everyone was like, oh my God, can you stop? And she's like, unfollow me if you don't vote for Kamala Harris. I don't want your support. I don't need your support. Snap, snap. And I was like, okay, we already know the Rachel Zegler of it all. And then people are very polarized by Gal Gadot because she's very pro-Israel. All that aside, though, I feel like my real issue right now is about them trying to erase the little community. And I posted this on Instagram yesterday and on TikTok, and I didn't realize how much people were going to stand up for the little community. And I'm very proud that the Zack Pack are proud allies of the little community, all the little people, right? I love little people. Everybody knows that I was on Jeff Lewis Live and went viral for telling the story about me hooking up with a little person, a little man, He was, I mean, ultimately it was because he catfished me, but like I committed to the plot, I went all the way. And so, I want to now raise the bar, and I feel like we should stand up for the little people, okay? Because first they tried to replace them with, you remember the village people? Remember that catastrophe when all what were they called? The magical people? Don't get me started on the magical people. What were they? The magic village people? Apparently they're also still in the film. They're they play some sort of role in the film, but I mean, they tried to, they all different genders and non-binary and Jonathan Van Ness and all of that stuff, right? It was like Queer Eye for the Snow White guy. And so first they had that disaster, then everybody was like, okay, no, that's not the way, like, I actually am offended that they wanted to take the little people out altogether. Like, let's not erase the seven dwarves from Snow White. Like, I think those were very much, classic. Or they should have done it like Inside Out, right? Where all of the creatures were like emotions, right? Because it was grumpy and happy and Doc. And so I feel like that could have been a great option for them. But whatever. So they tried to do, all the Queer Eye for the Snow White guy and whatever. And I was like, hashtag not my dwarves, right? Like, that's absolutely not tolerable. You're not going to erase the dwarves from my screen, okay? And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to fix it. And so let's just do, we're going to right the wrong. Let's just make them all CGI, which I was like, what in the Willy Wonka is that? Like, come on. Because remember Willy Wonka with the Johnny Depp remake when he came out and he had the Professor Snape bob, that bob that everybody tries to wear. He was given his Heather Dubrow bob, Bethany Frankel bob. And in that one, they had the one little person, and then they just CGI duplicated him, and then it was a bunch of little Oompa Loompas, but it was just one guy, and all the little people were upset that they got rid of all the little people options because then they just turned it into one guy and they CGI'd him. And so they're taking jobs away from the little people and giving them to computers. So I don't think that we stop erasing little people and giving their jobs to computers. I don't think that we should do that, right? I get it. Gal Gadot, she's a pretty tall gal, but I made this argument on Instagram. Like, the little people don't take up that much space on screen, okay? So it's offensive that you want to erase them. Somebody needs to call Bethany Frankel because this is a serious crisis. Call TLC. Let's get TLC on its stat, okay? TLC on its stat. I feel like TLC should have been leading the charge of this a long time ago, right? Stop trying to erase the little people. Hashtag not my dwarfs. Gigi said, regarding Snow White, they could have reached out to SAG and asked the community what they would want. That's a great option, right? Why is everybody leaving SAG out of the conversation these days? Blake Lively didn't involve SAG with her harassment claims, and now we have the little people that are being erased. Rude. And then apparently people are mad at Peter Dinklage because he was like, let's get rid of the dwarves altogether. And I was like, excuse me, Peter Dinklage. Everybody was saying that he climbed up the ladder and then he kicked the ladder down. So all the rest of the little people couldn't climb back up. And I was like, that's rude. So apparently all the little people are very upset with Peter Dinklage as well. I just wanted to stand up for all the little people. But anyway, back to Snow White. What's TLC? Oh, it's the channel that has they have little people. It's the cable channel. They have Little People Big World. They have the little couple. They have, what's her name? Oh man, the new little couple, the freaky little sex kittens, where he's like, wow, she's crazy. Oh, here, I'll pull up the clip for you. He's like, wow, she's crazy in bed. She got me and she threw me up against the wall. And she was just like, ha 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 ha. Like, she knew she was a little freaky deaky, She was a little naughty sex kitten. Here, I'll play the video for you because you guys are gonna love them. They are my new favorite couple, and they're the latest sensation, the latest little sensation on TLC.
Freak in the sheets. One time when we had an intimate moment, she threw me against the wall. I was not expecting it. So I just want that to be known. She is a freak in all the sheets, every layer. I had to get some meds. So yeah.
Oh, I love them. They're just so cute. It's adorable, and it's the latest show. Well, after because Little People Big World was around, and I think Zack from Little People Big World, he came out and he was getting mad. Oh, Miss Juicy baby! Oh my God, I love It's Miss Juicy baby. Oh my, she's my favorite. When she goes on TikTok Live and she doesn't even know what's going on, and she's like, "Hi y'all," and she doesn't, and everyone's like, Miss Juicy, you're the queen. Oh my God, I love you, Miss Juicy. Oh my God, the little women, Atlanta, Little Women, LA, like they are crazy, and they're always like throwing each other into the pool. And I'm like, why is there always a little person in a pool? Jay and Pamela, those are the little sex kittens. Those are they are spicy. Oof. And he likes it. He likes it a lot. He's like, ooh, I like it when she throws me up against the wall. Ooh. So yeah. Stop trying to erase Little People, okay? Because then you rob us of quality television. So TLC, get on have your people call my people, and we're gonna do this. Miss Juicy is the queen of memes. Yes, she is. Well, what the hell we gonna do now? Was that Miss Juicy or was that oh my God. I love them. I love them. Cindy says cancel culture, wanting to change classics and change culture. What is the problem is we still remember. I know that's right. Okay. Let's talk about Jonah Platt calling out Rachel Zegler. But first, a message from our sponsors, and that is Nutrafol. Listen, your hair is so much more than what you see when you look in the mirror, okay? From stress and nutrition to hormones and lifestyle, so many internal factors affect what you see on the outside. With Nutrafol's science-backed whole-body approach, nourish growth from within and achieve your best hair results, your best hair ever. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't quite cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas for men and for women that are tailored to different stages in your life, such as postpartum or menopause or menopause, right? Or lifestyle factors, like if you live a plant-based lifestyle. If that's what you do, you're going to need some Nutrafol to help you out, because that's what Nutrafol is here to do. Physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting key root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through a whole body health approach. Built-in hair care routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required. Start your hair journey today with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code NOFILTER. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code NOFILTER. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code NOFILTER. All right, Snow White, Rachel Zegler. We've heard about her for the past, mostly the past week since Snow White premiered last weekend, and it's not looking good because the numbers are super duper dismal. Let's see if there are any new Snow White box office numbers. Let's see if they've gotten any better. Yeah, because opening weekend was 43 million. I guess we don't have any new stats as of yet, but sheesh, 43 million. People are like, well, 43 million isn't bad. Well, considering how much they spent on the movie, they spent over 200 million producing this film, and it didn't even break 1 million at the box office opening weekend. Okay. Opening weekend is where you get your biggest bump in sales. That's where you get your biggest flood of a crowd, right? And so someone that's not happy about that is Jonah Platt. Who is Jonah Platt? Jonah Platt is the son of, well, he's actually the brother of Ben Platt, Ben Platt, he sings. He was on Netflix as The Politician. He's been in a number of. Was he in Glee? I feel like he looks like he would be in Glee. But anyway, Jonah Platt, his dad is one of the big producers that helped um, produce the Snow White remake. I believe he also helped produce Wicked. He was one of the producers of Wicked. So I was like, well, wait a minute. What about the Munchkins? Like, don't take me back to my rant about the little people, okay? Because it feels like the Platt family may be a little, anti-little people, or they're at least not helping to fight the extinction of little people or the erasure of little people, right? It's like they're getting a big eraser from Target and they're just going to be like, and not on my watch, not today, neck. So Jonah Platt is responding to people being upset about the story coming out that Rachel Zegler had a talking to, right? Jonah's dad went and I guess had a sit down meeting with Rachel Zegler after some of her posts, obviously at the D23 event, the Disney conference. She did some interviews, and that's where she basically drags Snow White. And she's like, it's old, and the prince, and he's a stalker. Weird, weird. And it's not about her love story anymore. Like, we're showing her as the heroine of the film, yada, yada, yada. Right. Well, apparently, when she was posting all the stuff about, because she was attaching some of her political posts to the promotion of Snow White. And so when the trailer came out, she posted, oh my God, it got so many million views, amazing, and always free Palestine. And so she kept up with her whole free Palestine thing. And then she obviously had the things that she said about, people that aren't going to vote for Kamala Harris. She doesn't want your support. And Trump, people that vote for Trump, she hopes that they never know peace and all of that stuff. And so he flew to New York City to be like, listen, okay, you're hurting the film. We already delayed the release an entire year, hoping that your last scandal would die down. And then you just come right back and continue to, to tank the film. And so someone commented on Instagram and said, your dad flew to NYC to reprimand a young actress. Any word on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No, shame on your father. And then Jonah Platt said, you really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. And her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Now, I get the part where people are like, well, all the blue collar workers that worked on the film have already gotten paid, right? And that is true, right? The production people that worked on production got their hourly rates, got their salaries, they got their money. Now, the only ones that benefit from this would be Disney and the people that have a financial vested interest in the film doing well. Same thing with Zegler. I believe she has her set salary from the film, and from there, which sounds to be a multi-million-dollar contract, and from there, she's fine. So, looking at this from both sides, I get it. She feels passionate and she has a platform and she wants to use that platform. Yes, I think we've all kind of established that at this point it's a little out of touch. Nobody really wants to hear celebrities go and, preach from their mansion, right? Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your long hair filled with Palestine flags. Like, we get it. We're tired of hearing celebrities bring politics into, the Hollywood sphere, because then we want to watch them on award shows or we want to follow them on social media and whatever, right? I get it. They're also entitled to have their own personal say. They're entitled to comment about politics the same way all of us are. So I'll defend Rachel in the fact that she has a right to say what she wants to say. However, I do see the Platt side of it, where Yeah, she did sign a multi-million dollar contract. And yeah, she did have a vested interest in trying to make the film successful, not just for Disney's sake, but also for her own career's sake, and just for, the magic of the story of Snow White. I think that, Snow White is a classic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe isn't Snow White is who is the first Disney princess? I believe it's Snow White. Yeah, Snow White is the first Disney princess and is also the pioneer of the Disney princess franchise. Her character provided the basis for later heroines in Disney fairy tales to come. There we go. 1937 is when the film originally came out. So definitely the yes, it's a classic. Yeah. The the lead princess, right? And so it obviously has a lot of love behind the story, flawed as it is, right? Because times have changed since the 1930s. I get that. But the way that she mocked it and, she just was so overzealous in, some of her interviews and the way that she mocks the story overall and calls it scary and like is disgusted that I don't know a prince is interested in her. And like again, sure, if there are certain little themes that you want to update within the film to make it a little more modern, fine. But at the end of the day, you were hired by this company. This company paid you a lot of money. They're not going to hire you to hurt their bottom line, right? So I'm sorry, you do have a vested responsibility to uphold your end of the contract. You're allowed to have your political opinions and you're allowed to express them publicly. However, when you're attaching your political opinions to your commentary of the film, so when you're talking about the success of the film's trailer and then you're saying but also don't forget free Palestine, that to me is that's an error on your end, right? Because you shouldn't be attaching your personal politics to the promotion of this film. And also, again, you want to make sure that this film that is about the magic of Disney, which is about inclusivity, your messages about division and saying that you don't want your support from people that voted for Trump. If they don't vote for Kamala Harris, you don't want their support. And I'm sorry, but all those people ended up coming out and said, bet, girl, bet. And they won that bet because they didn't show up and watch it. Like so much of her comments were so divisive and so, not what Disney is about and not including the message of positivity and inclusivity and the magic of Disney, especially when this is a film that's supposed to bring together, that's marketed to children, that's supposed to bring families together. Like when you go into the box office to watch Snow White, nobody cares if you're Republican or Democrat. All they care about is that they have their children there that are going to watch this Disney classic and believe in magic again, which is the sentiment that Disney puts out all the time, you know? Laura says she should be elevating the dwarves, not she should be a little people ally. I agree. Um, yeah, see, Kim says Gal was mature. She kept her views and movies separate. That is what mature. Yeah, and I understand people also felt like Gal Gadot was very polarizing because she very much was in support of the Jewish community in Israel and, has openly discussed that, but she never attached that to Snow White and she never, used any of her personal beliefs through the marketing, through the promotion of it. And Gal Gadot didn't need to have a sit down and a talk to, right? Arguably, you could say, well, the Platt family, they're Jewish and Gal Gadot is Jewish. So they're probably on the same side politically. Sure. But at the same time, Rachel Zegler continued to put her foot in her mouth, double down. I don't believe she ever deleted that post. She stood her ground. And let's be very clear, he didn't fly to Los Angeles to sit down with this little girl and point his finger in her face. He sat down with her team and they basically, from my understanding, were like, listen, how do we remedy this? Because you're hurting the film overall, right? And the film is very important to a lot of people, specifically families and children that, are going to grow up knowing this Snow White. They're not maybe going to know the Snow White that we grew up with, right? Because that was the original film and now there's a remake of it and now we're modernizing it to make it a live action. But like, I mean, because now the whole conversation is about how polarizing Rachel Zegler is and how also you can't really, I don't want to say put her in line, but you can't really get her to, consider the bigger picture. Well, I mean, I guess in her head, she thinks that, the bigger picture is standing up for the people of Palestine. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to look at it from both sides and trying to give Rachel Zegler grace because she is young and I'm sure she believes in, what she stands for, and that's commendable, right? But at the same time, she also has to understand the repercussions of that. And I think, Jonah Platt very much spoke to that, how it was immature. She, did this selfishly for her own personal agenda. Again, I think they just view it differently, where in her mind, she thinks that she's doing, something noble and novel and using the platform that she has. But again, you can separate the two, right? You can absolutely separate the two, because then this also does hurt your career as well. But so apparently it's now being reported, I believe, by Variety, that they had to even bring in like a social media manager. I was like, what? They had to call up, did they call up Melissa Nathan, the crisis PR person, to come and clean up Rachel's image? And they tried their best, right? Like, Rachel looked incredible when she was promoting the film. The hair extensions looked great, her outfits, her makeup, she very much, was polished and pulled together and was media trained. And so all of those things, ultimately ended up helping to the best that they could. Snow White was ultimately a disaster and completely flopped. What was Rachel's scandal that delayed it being put? Oh, that was when she was making fun of Snow White. And she was like, the movie is clearly dated. And it was so scary. And I didn't like Snow White. And then I think, which was also interesting, because I think she posted on her Instagram. Let me see. Rachel, did she block me? Rachel Zegler. She posted a photo of her. Yeah, she said that she hated the original and that it was creepy and it was scary. She only saw it one time and she was creeped out by the ride at Disney World. And then she posted a photo of herself when she was a young child in 2004. And she said, 2004 to now, dreams really do come true. And she's literally she's dressed up as Snow White. So I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you were afraid of Snow White. I thought it scared you. And like, why would you want to dress up as Princess Snow White if you didn't like the film and were scared of it? You know? But so yeah, the original thing was she was at when they released the trailer, I believe. And they unveiled the trailer at the Disney conference. D23, is it DCon, or is that what it's called? DCon? And so originally the film was supposed to come out last year and they ended up delaying it. And then she ended up blowing it up again with the comments regarding the election. So the Hilaria Baldwin subreddit is a virtual mind-blowing goldmine. Oh God, I can't wait. People have been telling me I have to get into that. She said the prince in Snow White was a stalker. Yeah, she's like, weird. We played those clips in the show yesterday. She's like, weird. So we didn't do that. It's not about the love story. She's like, oh my God, come on. Can Disney sue her for loss because of her actions? I mean, there may be a breach of contract clause that they have. They may fine her at some point if she hasn't been paid her full salary. I'm pretty sure they can dock her pay for violating the morality clause. Remember, we heard about that with Justin Baldoni, the potential morality clause that he may have had with Colleen Hoover. Doubtful that that's real in the Baldoni case, but I would imagine Disney has a morality clause that they can definitely fine her for sure. So, yeah. The story is weird, so make it better, but don't go out talking crap about it in the process. Yeah, I get it. Like, I saw Heather McDonald and my friend Jacques were on Juicy Scoop, and they were talking about, like, yeah, it is kind of weird that Snow White has these 7 grown old men that she's living with and taking care of or whatever. And yeah, it was kind of weird, but you can find a way to modernize it. Again, instead of, I mean, I don't think that they should have erased the dwarves, but there were other ways that they could have done it. Decon is a mouse to turn. Disney's is D23. Why is it called D23? Danielle says, Zach, I sent a pic of you. And your sweatshirt. Yes, absolutely. Let's pull that up. Danielle has sent me, guys, when you get your merch, post a pic on your stories, post a pic on your feed, and tag me in it so that I can reshare it and post it. So Danielle reordered a Zack Pack hoodie, which thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Let's give Danielle some love. A little shout out to Danielle. rocking her Zack Pack merch. Like I said, from now until April 11th, I'm donating 50% of all merch proceeds. All of my merch proceeds, 50% of them will go to the No More Foundation, which is the foundation that Justin Baldoni wanted to donate from. He partnered with for It Ends With Us and donated 1% of all the proceeds. So when you get your merch, guys, definitely take a pic, post it, tag me in it. Okay, let's talk about Garcelle. Garcelle. So Garcelle, is it Beauvais? Beauvais? How do you say her name? Zack is the only person I hear online that actually knows how to enunciate French names. Brigitte, Jacques, Messi Couple. Oui, oui. Oh, oh. Do you think Disney will let Rachel perform at Disneyland like how Halle Bailey did for The Little Mermaid? Oh, that was also a flop too, huh? We didn't hear much about The Little Mermaid. Well, it did kind of well, didn't it? It wasn't riddled with as much controversy. I mean, it was because they were like, why are you changing Ariel? And yeah. D23 for 1923 when Disney started Cartoon Company with his brother. Got it. The dwarves saved her life. Damn, no appreciation. Oh, sorry. That's right. Did Garcelle send you an edible arrangement for? Did you send Garcelle an edible arrangement for her loss? Well, here's the thing. I got a call this morning with some tea about Garcelle because obviously Garcelle, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star, just announced her departure from the show. She said that she's quitting. The reunion trailer was released this week, and we see that the women grill her specifically in relation to, or at least from what we see in the trailer, that there is some grilling that happens of Garcelle in relation to Dorit Kemsley's robbery, which obviously was big news when the robbery happened, because Garcelle continued to insinuate that Dorit's husband, PK, likely arranged and set up the robbery. And people were like, that's crazy because Dorit was home and the kids were home. The men were armed. You see it in the security footage that was released. These were armed men that robbed their home with Dorit and the children there. Like, I don't think that PK would play with that. I don't think that he would realistically have people go into their homes armed, rob them. Like, to me, it's just crazy. Like, it's a conspiracy theory that's peddled by Twitter. And a lot of people are like, they did it for insurance fraud, yada, yada, yada. Right. Anyway, so Garcelle continues to peddle that narrative. They laugh about it on Beverly Hills. She did it with Sutton. So fast forward. Now we see the reunion. It's brought up again. Garcelle storms off because I guess she's getting grilled. So I'm told that she actually got upset because Bose, who's the newest housewife, is the one that really stands up to her. And I believe she says that she would have sued Garcelle for defamation or something to that effect. She would have sued Garcelle for those comments that Garcelle made. And I made this point on the show yesterday. Like, Garcelle says very dangerous things on the show, right? Things that could ruin people's lives. She alludes to them being racist, has basically said Dorit is racist, doesn't hold Sutton to that same standard, which is strange. Right, but I get it. Sutton's her friend, but she weaponized it against Kyle when Kyle called her out for not paying her donation to the charity that she pledged, which, as somebody with a background in nonprofit work, very much on that. Accused Dorit and PK of staging this robbery, which is a crime. Accused Erica of being complicit or knowing about Tom Girardi's legal misdealings, his crimes, because he's now been convicted. So, that to me is, or even the fact that she accused or insinuated that all of these women or someone on the cast had hired someone to send bots after her child on social media to flood him with negative racist comments, which was wild. And she put that out there. She said she was going to do an investigation. She did an investigation, was like, just wait till my findings. Just you wait. Never cleared that up. Diana Jenkins came out, did her own investigation, hired her own people, subpoenaed Meta, and then found that it was linked to some guy that lives up north. Garcelle wanted no interest in that, never talked about it, never cleared up that it wasn't any of the cast members. So that to me is a very dangerous person that is on reality television. If they're going to go and accuse people of committing crimes, right? You can say, oh, they're mean. They call you a see you next Tuesday. They throw the book in the trash, like whatever. All the things that they talked about or further dragged the story about Brandy hooking up with Denise. Got it. but they've never done anything that will that could potentially, bring forth criminal charges or make such big allegations that, are so dangerous to put out there on national television. That's crazy. So that said, I'm told that she walks off because of Bose, which obviously she can't keep peddling these women are racist card if it's coming from Bose. And remember, we learned on Real Housewives of Potomac the whole colorism argument, right? How women that are of a darker skin tone are even more prosecuted and even more, discriminated against. We had a whole conversation about that. We brought Nicki Minaj into the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion to have that conversation. We listen, and we learn, we educate ourselves, and we did. And now I'm like, wait a minute, but the notes that I took from the Potomac reunion, why are we being mean to Bose? And even the internet right now is like really dragging Bose because Bose came out against Garcelle. And I'm like, but wait a minute. Why is it that if we say anything critical against Garcelle, suddenly we're racist? But then you can't say anything critical, but they can all drag Bose? That I'm like, wait, where's racism? Then that takes racism to the next level of colorism. And again, we learned that whole conversation when we had the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. And it's funny because people are just like, and again, the racist allegations are coming back. You're racist for hating on Garcelle. Just tell it what it really is. It's anti-blackness. And I'm like, well, but I really enjoyed Anna Marie. Specifically from her interview on the Juicy Scoop podcast, where we got to know more of her story. I thought that I would have loved to have continued to get to know Anna Marie's story on the show. Really enjoy Bose. Why? Like, I've been a champion for Anna Marie and for Bose, if we're talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills specifically. So, I don't understand why suddenly only Garcelle, you can't be critical of because then you'll be accused of racism. And why is that? Well, it's because Garcelle is the one that has constantly played that card. So, but the other thing I'm told is that I guess after the reunion, because obviously she walks off after the reunion, I guess there was a conversation that was had where producers expressed that they didn't plan to renew her contract anyway. I guess her contract had already ended. And so her making it seem like she's leaving on her own accord, it doesn't seem like she was going to be brought back regardless. So I got that call this morning. Danielle said, just saw all your comments. Thank you. Laying on the table for my tattoo. Oh, okay. So, yeah. Anna Marie Barf would like to hear her husband's story. Yeah, I mean, listen, I would have liked to have heard the husband's story as well. That didn't come up. I mean, I don't know. Brigitte says, I never watched any reality TV, and Zack introduced me to Bose yesterday. I'm so grateful. Been reading all about her. What a powerhouse. Thank you, Zack. I know even a lot of people now are saying that she's doing damage control because obviously she was a big executive for a number of mega big companies like Netflix, Apple Music, Bose, Uber, had a number of high profile jobs at these high profile companies. And because her specialty is in marketing, people think that the statement that she posted, where she basically sends a farewell to Garcelle, that's her playing her marketing and her being manipulative. And there's this rumor that they were planning a takedown season of Garcelle next season and yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, enough. Over it, boring, tired. Garcelle was just being held accountable for her own behavior. NT lawyer thinks the robbery was a setup. There's some proof from the video. I think the proof is that they're saying that the robbers left Dorit's phone, which I agree. It is strange. That is a question that I do have. It was strange that the robbers left the phone. I mean, some people have argued that the reason the robbers took Dorit's phone, but then the reason that they left Dorit's phone was so that the GPS couldn't track their location, which is also very true. If you take somebody's phone and you have it, they can very easily go on the iPad, track down your location, and from there, I get they left the phone on their way out. They dropped the phone or they put the phone down. So but the phone can be tracked. Yeah, that was my point. That's why I was like, well, I get it. Leaving the phone is weird, but then it also does make sense because there's GPS on the phone. Just the other night, I went out and I had a cousin in town. for my mom's birthday, and we went out and we had drinks, and we'd come out, and my mom's car was not in the parking lot, and so she thought that somebody had stolen it, and so we were trying to track it, and her car has a tracker. So immediately we got on, and then we were able to track exactly where the car was, and we were able to go to the exact location of where the car was. So Mallory says, I think Bo's allegedly saying that she would sue herself. Yeah, that's what I said, which is fair. If you say something without evidence that's that damaging, right, to accuse somebody of committing fraud on national television with zero evidence, especially when you already discussed this, right? It was already discussed last season and put to bed last season at the reunion. So there was no need for it to happen and be brought up yet again this season, especially when her and Dorit were laughing about it, you know? You can throw a phone in the sewer, lay it flying down in the street, still suspicious. Yeah, listen, I'm not saying that it wasn't weird about the phone. I'm just saying I can see both sides of that. I can see why they took the phone because they didn't want her to call the police, but then I can see why they left the phone because they didn't want to be tracked. But you're right, it could have been dropped somewhere else. It could have been, maybe they didn't expect the kids to be home. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I watched a thriller movie where Zack plays himself, and him and his sleuths actually find the smoking gun to uh, the serial whacker the police had been trying to find for a decade. Interesting. Oh, I would watch. Got it. I thought you did. I was like, is this a real movie? Bose is a great addition to the cast. Garcelle really didn't have a storyline. I'm glad she's leaving. Well, Heather McDonald made a really good point of like, well, not every housewife needs to have a storyline every season. And so I was like, you know what? That's right. I think my issue is like, but she didn't really bring anything to the show at all. I mean, I guess she did kind of grill people, but she was always very like big and bad in her confessionals, but like never was really big and bad to your face. And anytime the heat got turned back on her, anytime anybody would clap back at her in the moment, like she would kind of, her and Sutton as well. I don't get why people like, why aren't I not racist against white people for criticizing Sutton? Like I criticize that Southern belle all the time. And I think it was obvious that Sutton never really was Garcelle's friend, which I said from the beginning. Sutton just liked having somebody as an ally on the show that she could count on, because Garcelle defended Sutton a number of times, and Sutton was not a loyal, good friend back to her. And that was shown very clearly this season. MN says, it's hilarious to me that people like to hate on Garcelle for asking spicy questions, but the truth is, if she wasn't there, there would be no show to watch. Well, why don't people like it when Garcelle gets asked spicy questions? And why didn't people like it when Lisa Rinna was asking spicy questions? I think for me, it's not so much that, Garcelle asked spicy questions. I think it's the double standards, right? And the excuses that we make for Garcelle that none of the other women, Bose included, don't get those same privileges. I agree with you, but Kay Casey and Heather McDonald thought Bose was awful for saying that to Garcelle. Saying what? She would sue her for defamation? I don't think that that's awful. I agree. Hello, we're seeing a defamation case play out with Blake and Baldoni. So, yeah. Zack, I agree. I think Garcelle didn't have an actual friend on the show, which is probably what made it easier for her to want to quit. She doesn't need the money. I think she does need the money, to be honest with you. All of them. Like, unless you're Bethany Frankel or Lisa Vanderpump, or Candy Burris, or Kyle Richards, who really don't need the money. Garcelle has 2 boys that she's about to put through college. Like, you're going to tell me she's going to walk away from a 6-figure paycheck? Usually you get a bump from season 5 to season 6. That's when you get like a nice little salary bump. And so I really don't think that she very freely, I think she thought that the network was going to have her back and was going to stand by her. And they were just like, well, your contract's up. So, all right, bye. Defamation is a stretch. I disagree. Defamation is absolutely not a stretch. Defamation is the absolute word to use when you go on a public platform and you accuse someone of committing a crime without any evidence. Defamation is abso-fucking-lutely the right term to use. And I completely stand by Bose in saying that if that were me, I think that that is absolutely true. Just like defamation when, Phaedra accused Candy of the thing with Portia, which got Phaedra kicked off the show. That's what you call defamation, accusing somebody of something that they didn't do to harm their reputation. I mean, I guess with defamation, you'd have to argue malice, but she didn't say it to be nice. She said it to insinuate that, to implicate. I mean, she said it, I believe, to pander to the, as Dorit said, the 4 people on Twitter. But that's absolutely dangerous. The same way it was. But here's the thing: she kind of rides that line. Same thing with the bots when she accused all of them of hiring the bots against her son. That was wild, like truly, truly wild, and never cleared that up. It is absolutely defamation. I completely stand by that. She's speculating, but not defaming. She repeated it multiple times on the show, even after they settled it at last year's reunion. Her and Sutton went on. I wish I had the clip to play right now. They continued to peddle that narrative recklessly. But isn't it in their contracts that they can't sue each other? Correct. But to be clear, they made the allegation against PK. So therefore, PK, and I believe, and listen, and let's be clear, Sutton also accused PK of having a woman in the car with him the night that he was arrested for a DUI, insinuating that he was cheating on Dorit. So they've absolutely made these egregious allegations against the women a number of times, especially when they have legal ramifications. Like, that's crazy. So unfortunately, I think, and Bose is a smart woman. If Bose says that she would sue for defamation, there you go. There we go. It's defamation until there's evidence to prove a crime. Absolutely. Phaedra said it without a doubt happened with Candy and Portia, which wasn't true. Garcelle is speculating. Come on. When you continue to plant those seeds, you're tainting the audience. Like, let's not even try to defend that abhorrent behavior. Even if it's just speculation, you're insinuating, speculating, and that's what she does. She does this insinuation, right? Or they just ask questions. Sutton used that excuse a number. We're just asking questions. But then when Erica tried to ask a question of Sutton on the boat this season, that was suddenly not okay. I'm telling you, Mallory, this is not the hill you want to die on, is saying that, Brigitte says, legal definition, a statement that injures a third party's reputation. The tort of defamation includes both libel and slander. Yes, in this case, that was slander. It's about harming the reputation. Now, when it comes to a public figure, you also have to prove malice, and that's where it's a little tough. But malice is, because then you have to prove that she did this with malice. And listen, at the end of the day, like, you can't tell me that there wasn't malice and to continue to bring up that conversation. You would have to prove defamation caused a loss of income as well. Oh, you think PK's doing so hot right now? If her reputation is damaged to the point of her losing money or potential employment, it is defamation. Yeah. And now people think that he's a criminal. So Erica could have sued Sutton for defamation for saying she was part of the Girardi scandal. Well, that's a little different because that scandal, I mean, yes, I mean, I would argue that Sutton absolutely defamed Erica as well. But the difference with that is you wouldn't be able to prove that the scandal itself didn't taint Erica's reputation or hurt her paycheck, right? I think her paycheck was hurt because the scandal was so big and the scandal was so salacious that she lost contracts as a result of the scandal, not necessarily as a result of the questioning, right? Or the defamatory remarks, because everybody was defaming Erica at that point. But you can't say that it was their response to the scandal. Whereas it's very different with a crime. There is a crime that was committed, and instead of focusing on making sure that Dorit and the children are okay with the crime, you're then insinuating that they were complicit in that crime without any evidence. Tom Girardi had a number of people that were coming out and saying that he committed those crimes. PK still banking on the Boy George money. Yeah. Because it wasn't the first time I heard the questioning of the robbery. I just didn't think it was a huge lawsuit-worthy deal. I wouldn't say it's a huge lawsuit-worthy deal, but it is still defamatory. So I'm defending Bose for saying that she would sue for defamation because that is a defamatory statement. So say what you will about Phaedra, but she told everyone I'm married to medicine how she felt. She did. I've seen the clips of Phaedra, and Phaedra's great. Phaedra is great. Love Phaedra. But what she did to Candy was wrong. Absolutely wrong. By the way, Bravo fans, I watched season 2 of The Valley. I watched the premiere. I got the advanced screener. Good premiere. I think I'm not really watching anything on Bravo anymore, but like I think I'm gonna look forward to The Valley. first episode was good. I can't tell you what's in it or give you any details about it, but it comes next. It airs next month, and it was good. I love Bose this season. I think she's backing up Dorit, but threatening to sue. She didn't threaten to sue. She said that if that were her, she would sue, and that's a fair statement to make. But again, why is it okay for people to criticize Bose, and that's not racist? But if you criticize Garcelle, that is racist. You know, interesting. All right, I think that's all I got for you guys for today. Whew. All right, thank you for tuning in to No Filter with Zack Peter. Be sure to get your merch, guys. Get your merch, as you know. Danielle did here. Danielle got her merch. Get it, Danielle. Get your merch, guys. Justice for Justin shirts, Mommy Sleuth shirts, Daddy Sleuth shirts, all merch in the merch store, nofiltermerch.com. All merch in the merch store. I will donate 50% of my proceeds for all sales made through April 11th. So you have until April 11th to order. Order once, order twice. And yes, guys, hit the subscribe button if you are enjoying the show. Like and subscribe to No Filter with Zack Peter. Zack Peter here on YouTube, or No Filter with Zack Peter on Apple Podcasts, No Filter with Zack Peter on Spotify. Everywhere you get your podcast, I am available. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. And I will talk to you later, Skater. Ciao for now. Bye, 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 bye.